I bought 10 random Steam keys and we're going to find out if they are a scam. The site I used for this was fanatical.com, and I've bought from this website many times before with their pick your own bundles, and I have been really pleased with their discounts. But I've always passed up their mystery packs as I didn't want to feed into my gambling addiction. But with their fire bundle, what caught my eye was the 100 Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 gold keys. They advertise at least a very positive rating on Steam, and of course provide officially licensed games to redeem on Steam. So let me just put in my credit card details and see what we get. First game is Dungeons 2, a very charming fantasy strategy game. I'm very picky when it comes to strategy games. If they're too difficult or uninteresting within even the first 5 minutes, I just give up. But Dungeons 2 is honestly both easy and very interesting. There's skirmish and a multiplayer mode, but I decided to just play the campaign, and it was great off the start. In a land full of rainbows and all the goody two-shoot things you could imagine, you play as the ultimate evil. And in the beginning, you use all of your abilities to force your way into the kingdom before you're captured with a magical spell. Here you are brought to the dungeons where the real tutorial starts. It eases you into the routine of controlling troops to mine out areas for you to build rooms in, like treasuries or breweries. And the further you progress, it very smoothly teaches you more about fighting enemies and all the systems the game has to offer. Easily the best part of the game is the utterly hilarious and charming commentary from the narrator.
Well-versed evil patted itself on the back, proud that it had led its troops into battle with such aplomb. And by led, I just simply mean chucking them at the enemy.
I know the writers had a field day with this dialogue. Like I've said, I'm not really a strategy game type of guy, but Dungeons 2 is easily in the top 3 games I've played in this genre. Honestly, I might even play more of this in my free time, so for a random game, I count this as a W. Moving on to the second game, we have pumped BMX Pro, and already I don't have high hopes. If a game opens up in a window like this, it ain't good news. But getting into the actual game, it reminds me a lot of that Motocross X3M game I used to play in Cool Math Games, and it's very similar to that except with harder controls. You have to use the spacebar to gain momentum, arrow keys to turn, and WASD for the tricks. 9 whole buttons for this game, which is very weird at the start, but it does get easy after a while. The game consists of different areas with a bunch of levels each, and these levels all have a bunch of different missions such as doing specific tricks or 360s or backflips, along with level scores and trick scores. I didn't really spend very long with this game because I didn't want to, but apart from the art style and menus, it feels less like a mobile game than I expected. I mean, the animations are pretty good and controls feel fine, and you can actually get pretty creative with your tricks. However, the levels feel too short to really do much before you get to the end. Although the game is fun and it isn't a total stain on my Steam account, I will mark this down as an L. Which is unlike game number 3, Lost Words Beyond the Page. This game is a heartwarming and emotional platformer about a girl wanting to become a writer. As you go through the game, you swap between her journal where she writes about her life and the fantasy story that she's writing, which both overlap each other in a lot of ways. The gameplay is really unique as well with this magic book that you can use to interact with the world around you. The way you also have multiple choices for how you interact with certain parts of the game and creating a character is a great way to involve the player and feel like your decisions really matter. Back to the story, although I have been limiting myself to about 30 minutes of playtime for each of these games, already I'm hooked in this game, and I probably or most definitely will be talking about this game in a future video topic. You can feel the love and heart that has been poured into this game, and I can already tell it is going to be a beautiful adventure. This is a huge W. Game 4 is called Grotto and is honestly weird. Good weird though. The game is unlike anything I've ever played. As I understand it, you are this wise thing who can read the star constellations. You form patterns yourself, and that will add various animals or things with their own descriptions that you can give to people as answers to their questions. Like how you perceive someone or how you perceive yourself, and advice on how to punish someone. It's a really interesting and honestly kind of psychedelic experience. I think if I were to play this game high or drunk, I would ascend to a new dimension. But it's so intuitive how you can literally change the story and the character's perception of you. From the time that I played, it seems the whole game is spent in this little cave, and all it really is dialogue with different and returning characters that come to speak to you every day. This game is a whole ass experience, and for that I gotta give it a W. Figment is game 5, and it's a very charming, but also very deep, 2D Souls-like, kind of. You are the classic good guy fighting bad guys, just wanting to get your stuff back character. Basically another Crab's Treasure. But although this game is so beautiful and cutesy, when you read between the lines, it gets pretty dark. What I gather is that you are essentially exploring through a child's mind after a recent car crash. You have to defeat all of the nightmare creatures to gain back your scrapbook, and I mean, XP points are called endorphins. It's hilarious. The gameplay is very simple: solve simple puzzles, to fight simple enemies, to beat the simple boss fights. The simplest way to put it is, this is the game I would give to a person who doesn't play video games. But this does not hold the game back, it actually makes it more entertaining. I love the way the music is so entwined within the gameplay and the characters, and even the bosses sing their little songs to you. It's fantastic. Figment is a cute but dark game that I honestly want to play more of. Easy W. When Ski Lifts Go Wrong is at number 6, and it's basically just a polybridge clone, but for ski lifts and snowboard ramps and that. It's what you'd expect. Pretty decent physics simulations, and the tutorial was easy to follow through to teach you all the ways that you can build your stuff. What I thought was really cool though is that as your simulation is in progress, you can control the snowboarders, skiers, and even snowmobilers' movement. So you had to actually help them land jumps and stuff like that, and you can even go first person, which I thought was sick. I used to play Polybridge like crazy on my iPad when I was a kid, and this is just as soothing of an experience. When your construction fails though, it is actually really funny to just see them go limp and blood to pool around them, but not for ill intent, just very entertaining. I gotta hand this a W, enough said. Number 7 is Desert Child, which I thought was going to be really cool from its Steam page, and for the most part it is, but it's very limited. It gets you right into the action from the start, and essentially you're a hoverbike racer and you need to win money from races to buy food, upgrades, and a ticket to go to Mars before the Earth explodes. During the races, you need to shoot these little TV things coming at you and pick up some cash that drops before you reach the finish line. Once you complete races, you go back to the hub area, which is where you buy food to keep your hunger down, and upgrades or repairs for your bike. The gameplay is very repetitive and gets boring really quick, which is very disappointing considering how interesting the game looks and sounds, in combination with the world building. During the races as well, the frame rate seems very choppy, which I wasn't sure was part of the game or not, but either way it doesn't feel good. And the music just stops halfway through every race, leaving you with just the 8-bit explosion and boosting sound effects. Desert Child is a really fun little gem, but it's just unfortunate how uninteresting and shallow it really is. But for what it does it well, so I will still give it a W overall. Root is number 8, a cutesy woodland strategy game. This is one of those classic troop training, territory gaining strategy games like Civilization, and it's very interesting for what it does. But a lot of the systems in the tutorial went over my head really quickly, and in the short time I had with it, I didn't know what I was doing at all. There's so much to focus on with these cards, and the suits of every clearing, combined with the building and crafting, it's just so complex. And with every single character that you play as, it's all completely different. These are just not my type of games. I just felt so overwhelmed with all the things yapping to me on screen, and I just really went with whatever the tutorial said. If I spent more time with the game, I probably would get the hang of it and enjoy it more, but it's pretty good, just not my type. If these games are your type of thing, definitely go check it out, but I will still be giving it another W. And number 9 is Call of Juarez Bound in Blood. I was genuinely surprised when I saw this pop up. Here's my real reaction. Oh shit! I don't know much about the story, I just know I had one of the Call of Juarez games for the Xbox 360 back in the day, so the name was familiar. This is the closest thing we've gotten to a AAA game so far with these keys. which isn't a bad thing, but I was just so excited to play this game. This is the Red Dead Redemption 3 that we've always wanted. Starting out in the trenches, you already get dual revolvers off the start, which is sick, and the gunplay is really good for this time period. The game is very noticeably outdated in most areas, but every time I play old games, I tend to enjoy that most of all as it adds sauce, pizzazz. But the movement and controls are simple, janky at times, but hey. Red Dead Redemption Deadeye with the concentration mode, and you can even hide behind most objects to shoot back, which feels really smooth and intuitive. The level and mission design also feels very outdated and of its time, but is still very engaging. Call of Juarez Bound in Blood is still a great, fun, and immersive rooting-tootin' gunslinger game, and I just have to hand this a W. One of the better mystery keys that we've gotten so far. And finally, game number 10. We have Lords of Exile. This is one of those classic 2D arcadey games, and I don't really enjoy these type of arcade action games much either, but I will say I fully enjoyed my time with this one. Classic left, right, up, down movement with an attack button, but you can also slide, ground slam, secondary consumable weapon, and you can also unlock cool upgrades and abilities as you progress through the game to make your little Terraria solar armor guy even more overpowered. I mean, I don't really have a lot to say. If you've played these types of games before, you know exactly what to expect. Fun and simple boss fights, fairly intuitive levels, and repetitive but enjoyable enemy encounters. Sprites and animations are also very well done. Lords of Exile is in a genre that I don't really have many thoughts on, but it's a great take on it either way. W. Alrighty, so for the results, I paid a total of $13.15 for the keys, or $1.32 each, and the total of all the games would have been $218.05 if I bought all of the games separately, so yeah, it's safe to say I saved some money. But was it a scam? Now, I might have been a bit biased with my rating of each of the games, since I tend to think most games are good, even though I might not be a fan, but in hindsight, I am happy with the games I've been given. Dungeons 2, Lost Words, Grotto, and Call of Juarez definitely stand out as my favourite of the picks, but yes, I would say it was worth it, but it is a gamble. Most of the time, you will just bloat your Steam library with games you won't even touch again, and I'm lucky I didn't get any scam games made for the purpose of mystery Steam keys, but I think that mostly comes down to the website. Fanatical has my trust, they've done me good, but others like G2A, I wouldn't lay a finger on. No Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 to be found, unfortunately, but all in all, I'd say this was a success. Now go watch my other videos.